Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Paint Party Livestream. I am so glad that you have joined me this evening for this, the 91st episode of the Livestream. This is the Livestream where I share my Learn to Paint journey with you every week, Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and I'm so glad that you've joined me. The Livestream is very laid back. It is pop in, pop out, kind of like an open house, so feel free to jump into the live stream and jump out whenever you'd like. Every week I paint a new painting. Typically, this week will be a little bit different, but I typically paint a new painting and I'm exploring some aspect of the development of my Learn to Paint journey here on YouTube primarily. However, this is syndicated across a wide variety of platforms, so no matter where you're watching, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You can contribute to the conversation in the comments on whichever platform you're joining us on. Feel free to ask questions or to engage in the conversation. I really enjoy interacting with you as I paint. All right, let's jump in. I want to say hi to my friend Lola, who is here. Lola, it is so good to see you as always. You're always here right at the top of the hour, and I always appreciate it. So glad to have you. I hope you are warm and well this week. All right, let me jump in. A few more of you have joined. I see it only shows me a number, so it shows a few people have joined and are joining. I can't see where you are or what platform you're on unless you contribute, of course, in the conversations or in the comments. If you comment, then that pops up on my screen. But otherwise, even if you're just a lurker, it's great to have you. So glad that you've joined me. Let's jump into this evening's live stream right away. And I want to kind of share what we've been doing the last couple of weeks on the live stream, because this show is actually a continuation of the last couple of weeks. So we'll do a quick rewind and then we'll jump right in. This year, I am focused in developing my skills in several core areas, one of those being composition. So you'll hear me talk a lot about the composition, meaning how the painting is put together, how the shapes and the objects are put on the canvas. The other thing you may hear me talking about this evening is value or value balance. This is basically just the relationship and the ratio between lights and darks in any particular setting. So when I talk about the value balance, maintaining the value balance, I'm just talking about keeping the lights and darks, the shadows and the lights in the correct proportion and the correct balance. So in order to explain more and do a rewind of where we've been the last couple of weeks, I'm gonna jump over to my other camera here, and that way I can adjust this camera. So I'll pull you up here and I'll talk to you there as I adjust the camera over my shoulders here and get this ready for the canvas view when we start to paint. So this should be good. Let me turn on this light, and I think we're pretty good there. Okay, that is set, and let me plug that in so that my phone doesn't die. There we are. Okay, now, hey, happy Monday, Marta. So good to see you. Thanks so much for joining. Glad to have you. All right, for those of you, thanks so much. I have a few tricks up my sleeve after 90 plus episodes of this experience. I'm getting there. I'm getting there every once in a while. Eventually, I'd like to have really fancy cameras. I was recently, this past week, I was in a local news studio and doing a quick promotional spot for something here in our community. And they've changed since the last time I was in a studio in Little Rock. It was literally just us on couches, me and the host, and these cameras that looked like giant webcams, basically, over TVs that were the teleprompters. And there were just three giant kind of cameras sitting there, and I assumed there were people controlling them somewhere, but no camera guys in sight. It was an interesting setup. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the live stream. So let me turn this off until I jump over there. just so it's not right in y'all's eyes. Okay, so I mentioned doing a quick rewind for the last couple weeks. So the first week we started this painting. Let me put up the reference photo. So this is the reference photographed. This is a photograph of what we're painting. This is how we started, and last 2 weeks ago we talked about Brunet and Griset styles of painting. This is an old technique that was used by primarily the old masters like perhaps Da Vinci and some of those, where they would tone their canvas, they would transfer the drawing, and then they would begin to stack layers of paint on top of each other. This was typically in oils, so maybe a little after Da Vinci's time, but the oils would then be laid on top of each other in really thin layers, and you would build up the luminescence and the values, essentially the lights and darks. But you would start with kind of a monochromatic version of the painting to make sure you got all of your composition in the right place, you had your drawing properly transferred, however you were doing that. And it breaks down the painting process so that you don't go to a giant canvas and have to worry about proportions and values and color matching and all the things. You break down the elements of the painting this way. So we started this painting, even though I'm working in acrylics, with kind of a Griset, Brunet. It's basically, the difference in the terms is whether it's brown based or gray based. Mine's kind of a mix in between, but it's more brown. There's also, I think, a Verde that's a green base that people use. But I wanted to make sure I got the proportions, the composition, and for the most part, the lights and darks correct. So you can begin the painting, you can begin to see the painting come out, or the painting I wanted in this first stage. That is a lot of words to say that's the foundation of the painting. Hey there, Michael, so good to have you. Thanks for popping in for a few minutes. Yes, it is, Marta, it is a time-consuming process, which is why this is the third live stream we've done this, but I think the result you'll see is speaking for itself. So this is my first time really trying this technique. It is very time-consuming. The second kind of iteration where we started to bring in color last week, this was where we got to on the live stream last week. So you can see we're balancing still. The values are pretty close to the same. The brightest area is kind of right there, dead center of the canvas, sunken back into that kind of rock wall at the back. But you can't really see my face anymore, can you? That's okay. I'm looking at the camera like you can see me. I'll just talk and gesture. So you can see how the values are still the same, even though we're starting to add some color. The foreground is not very detailed at all, and that's about as far as we got last week. This week in the studio, I did some additional work on this painting. So I'll show you where I got and where I kind of was going and where I got, and then where we're picking up from tonight. So then I went in this week in the studio and really started working on the sky. I wanted this cloud, this sunset to, I wanted to kind of elevate the drama of the painting, but it was also very intentional. The reason I wanted this was so that it would draw you'll notice the shape of the clouds are pointing to that center part of the canvas. The highest value contrast, the lightest light and the darkest dark, are kind of right there in the center, where we have the sun reflecting off of that rock wall, and then we have kind of sunken back in a little bit of a kind of canyon wall that is kind of the shadowed area. So this is all very intentional, and then the lines of the painting point downward. So the way the painting is framed, the mountains are pointing down in that direction as well. And then as far as I got, this is what the painting currently looks like. So I fixed up the mountains on the left side. I desaturated them a little bit so they are not as in the sun as perhaps in the reference photo, but I think that really helps that center area to pop out. It really, what I noticed is that it started to really feel like there was some real dimension and depth in the painting. The center area, even though it's the brightest spot, that center wall, it sits really back far in the painting, which is the effect I want. And then the kind of windings of the kind of grasslands in front, by putting a little bit of detail there, I put kind of brighter rust colors leading back into this space, and I've kind of designed how the snow lays in and all of these elements to point in that direction. So that is how we got. So you can kind of see from one corner to the next how we got where we are starting tonight. And so we'll jump over to our canvas there, and I will take down these photos, and we will begin painting it looks more true to a sunset behind the mountains. I think so. I like the sunset behind the mountains. It definitely adds some drama, and more importantly, composition-wise, it is making it much more interesting, I believe, much more interesting as for the viewer. So you can see now that you are looking at the canvas, some of the detail work that I did in the rock wall, as well as in the rock wall, as well as in the foreground, which also helps to set these rock walls back a little bit. But this was a lot of trial and error. If I bring this really up close, you can see actually how many colors are in that rock wall, both warm and cold colors, to really get that effect of the light and the shadow. But I think the more I work on it, the more interesting it is visually. And I think this will end up probably being one of my most interesting paintings over time. So that said, let's jump in. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Kind words as always. Good to see you, Bob G. Glad to have you joining along. So let's jump in. And what I'd like to do, I think, is I'm trying to get this light so it's not so aggressive. Maybe I can. My camera is going to adjust no matter what I do. So I'll move this back maybe a little bit. Maybe that will help. Although I may step into my arm may get in your way. Maybe not too bad. Okay. So let's start today. What I want to do, I feel really good where this is going. The things I don't like, some of this detail work I did toward the end dried kind of brighter than I expected, and it's bringing it too far up. It's too saturated. I want to work on the sky some more. So I think I want to work on those colors. And yeah, get as much as we can, or as far down the road as we can on this. So let's go in and let's work on this sky a little bit and see if we can define these spaces in the sky a little more. A lot of this is imagination, meaning I am using my imagination to create the cloud views, just because The clouds in the reference photo are, of course, a little generic. So we shall see. Let's do some, just putting some colors out here, and we can mix up some, our blues. Where's our blue, our big blue? There's big blue. We'll put some blues and a little bit of, maybe a little bit of brown if we need to desaturate. Okay, so the things I really love is this bright kind of white blue down here, because it really provides, again, a nice contrast here, the bright area in the sun against this darker area. Having these two compositionally, having the darkest dark area and the lightest light kind of right up against each other draws the eye naturally in. Having the high contrast here, having the clouds basically pointing to where we want the viewer to look, having the mountains basically framed so that you'll remember the grid we started with essentially has X's across, and this is at the center of that X, a little bit below that line. So that's why this is all working compositionally. And when we get composition and color and all of these contrast things working together, then we can predict we're going to have a much better painting overall. And that's one of the things also, I was talking to some friends just a few minutes ago about how to appreciate art. And I'm actually going to do, I think, a produced video on my YouTube channel about that. How do you appreciate art? Or how do you go from, oh, I know I like that, to understanding why you like it and appreciating why you like it? And part of that is going to be recognizing these things. When you see something at a gallery or an art museum, if you understand a few of these elemental things, then you can really say, oh, that's why I'm drawn to this, or this is why I really love this particular artist or this particular style. Recognizing things like contrast, as well as, the values of what an artist is doing and where they're drawing your eye, can be really informative, because then you can say, oh, that's why it's popping out to me, because the artist very intentionally, thank you, Lola. Lola said, we can't see your palette. Thank you. Good reminder. Yes, let me add that. There we go. Thanks. So I have white, blue, yellow, red, magenta, blue, and light blue, dark blue, and brown. And I'm just basically reestablishing some of these things that may have been lost as I was doing different layers. So I'm putting my blues back in, and we'll do the same with the other colors. The more layers we get, the better, in my opinion. The better it will look in the long run. All right. And remember that as we go up away from the horizon, the blues get darker because we're looking through more atmospheric perspective as we go across through the air, and that makes the colors seem desaturated. So as we go up, we'll get slightly more saturated in the blue. The blues will be darker and more defined as we go up. So that's just a little thing. Again, people say, oh, you're so good at painting. Well, there is perhaps a little skill, but a lot of it is just once you learn, oh, and you notice that, then it's, I'm reading a biography of Leonardo da Vinci right now, and one of the things that made him, I mean, painting was not even his core competency, but one of the things that made him really good as a painter was because he was so observant. And he noted things, of course, in his famous notebooks that helped him when he drew. I was reading an area last night that said basically art appreciation is an underrated skill. I agree. It said Leonardo, he painted a painting, I think it's called The Lady of the Grotto or something like that. It's basically a Madonna of Mary, not a Madonna of Mary. It's a Madonna, so it's Mary, the Mother of Christ, and it is around her are rock formations, but on the rock formations are the are plants that actually would have grown in those area around those types of rocks. So Leonardo actually painted the types of plants, so his understanding of botany and of plant life actually informed his paintings. And at the time, Mary was often painted with white roses symbolically, but those would not have grown where he was painting her. And so I just think that's fascinating, that, and it shows his genius, of course, and he painted these, but it was because he was so observant and able to recreate things in a way that was, even if you don't know that, it was better and different than other people at the time. And, you know, that attention to detail makes a master. So I'm breaking this up a little bit. I'm going to bring a little bit of purple down in here, because as we go up, again, the sun set, and what I realized, I didn't know this, but putting the purple, more purple colors up, I think that gives us more of a sunset feel versus a sunrise. And so as we go away, not only is this blue getting more intense, but it's getting more purple. And we'll just break up some of these clouds. I think it's helpful. And we can always paint over them if we don't like, which I have. I can tell I had some. I just don't want it to look, right now it's looking very one spot, two spot, one spot, one spot, one spot. I want it to be a little more organic. And that's the difficult thing, because as humans, we want to create patterns. And so it's often hard to paint organically, especially if you're doing landscapes, because our brains want to put all the tree to be perfectly symmetrical, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I just realized, oh no, my microphone's above my thing. Okay. Did I put this? The merging of science and art, they can work beautifully together. Yes. I think actually that's one thing. It's the biography I'm reading is Walter Isaacson's Leonardo da Vinci, which is Isaacson's an amazing writer. but and historian. But yes, I think, and that's one point he kind of makes, that Leonardo did not see any separation between art and architecture and science and math and, you know, his understanding of geometry. He was not actually, incidentally, any good at calculating. Like, his calculations were not his. He wasn't good at typical, what we would say, mathematics. But he kind of, what he wasn't good with in like numerical figures, he kind of compensated by with geometry. So he was able to take visually, he was able to take very complex shapes and, again, kind of connect them to what he was observing in nature and with his power of observation. I don't want to break this up too much, but I think it's really, I do want this, connecting these kinds of helps, because then you kind of have hey there, good to see you. Thanks for popping on. Yeah, I think opening up some of these really is has helped a little bit. What do you all think? It looks less formulaic. We can always close them back up. I might have to close that up. I don't like that necessarily. Now it starts to look like they're all... We'll see. We can shape this. That's the good thing. You can always shape the clouds how you want. And actually, that's... okay. This is more, adding even more purple, which is just ultramarine blue, which is a warmer blue. Just put suggestions of, whoops. Darker. And the final, once I get the shape of everything like I want, I think I'm going to I'm wondering now if I have this wrong, y'all. See, I'm gonna say something, and I want you to, those of you that are actively watching, tell me if you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing now. This side over here looks like, to me looks like a sunrise. This side on this side looks like a sunset, because it looks like to me, by putting this orange over here, the sunset is, or the sun is setting behind these mountains over here. Are you seeing that? Or does it look like the sun is in two different places almost? Because it's almost to me like if this side of the painting wasn't there, like if the painting was just here, it would look like the sun is setting behind the mountains. Do you see that? And then if I do the opposite side, it looks like the sun is coming up over here. Yeah. So I think I need to fix that. It looked like your sun shifted. Yes, I believe what needs to happen is this needs to be more diffused, either sky over here, or it needs to be more of this purple orange, like rust color. And then this needs to be the orange, the brightest orange. Yes. Don't overthink it. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I don't want to overthink it, but I do, when you look at it, there's something off, because this is all saying the sun is setting or coming up over here. It's setting, the mountains all say it's setting over here, but this is saying it's setting behind here and it's coming up over here. So it's a subtle thing, but I think it's the color, and it's because I was trying to, but we can play with this a little bit. So let's actually just go in and adjust it a little bit and see if we can do, there should be some shadow in the right. Yes. Yeah. I have to figure it out, because I do want, because the mountains, like I do want this to be like the sun is shining from basically off the canvas, shining this direction. So I have to figure out how the clouds will look. Again, this goes back to Leonardo and observation. How the clouds look when the sun is actually setting over here, shining on here. So let's go in and this may make it worse, but we're going to try, and we can always paint over it. I'm just bringing more bright orange, and this may actually make it look more saturated, but we can test it. Yeah, I think it does, but I think that's kind of, yeah, then it looks like it's really setting back there, doesn't it? Okay, so I think what we need to do is actually, let me go here. And I did this earlier. This is, to me, this is the fun part of painting, and this is the part where it gets really creative. What I'm trying to do, let's see if I can come back to you all. I don't think I can. Maybe I can. Huh. I was going to try to... Okay, there we go. Now I think you can see you should be able to see my screen. I just pulled up sunsets. Yeah, it's moving. Okay, so you'll be seeing what I'm seeing. Thanks, Abby. Hey, it's so good to see you. I am really pushing this year to really progress. So, all right, so you can see what I'm looking at. I just pulled up sunsets, and what we need to find is something. Yeah, look at this one. I don't think you can see can you see oh, you can see my cursor. So this one here, I mean, the sun is obviously setting over here, but down here on the opposite side is really kind of red, purple, really dark rust. Similar over here. So I think that's what I need to do is, yeah, the further it goes away, like this one in the middle here, you kind of have this dark shadow. The sun's obviously in the middle, but the further you get away from the sun is the darker reds and maroons. So, yeah, look at this one, this Pinterest one over here. The sun is obviously setting off to this right-hand side somewhere, and that's the most bright. That's the orange. So that's where my yellows and oranges need to be. This needs to be my reds, purples, and then we can have diffused as kind of the shadow. Marta mentioned shadows, and we do need to go put in shadows. But yeah. Yep, look at this one down here. It's not the same color palette, but the sun is set over here. And then the ones over here are much less. Okay, that helps. So let's go back to here, and I will mute this, but we may go back to it. Okay, so yeah, let's then, this is the fun part. That is so kind, Abby. You know you are an inspiration, my dear. You are an inspiration. All of us are in our own different manners creating something really cool. So, all right. So I need a little, almost a rust red. So let's pull this back and let's do, it's still kind of, but we'll try to do, let's see if we can see what happens if we put some of this in. Because what it should do, if we put some reds in here, then the oranges and yellows on this side should be more. It should move our sun back to the right side. And I'm just kind of putting color on. It's not very pretty. I think I'm going to need to fuse that even more. I'm going to have to wait for that to dry a little bit. I wonder if I can use a little bit of a larger brush. Let's take some blue and red, make some purple. Yeah, we Do purple. That's the great thing. You just, and every time I do something like this where I kind of, quote, mess up, the next time I paint a sunset, I'll be like, oh, if I want the light here, this is what I have to do, because I'll be a little less ignorant of it, right? So, oops, my camera just, oh, I guess I got a text. That takes out my camera a little bit. Okay. There we go. Let's see. Just putting this in just to kind of see how it interacts with. It's obviously looks terrible, but once we get it where it looks the way we want, we just keep experimenting, then we can really do more. Life is good. It's good. It's good. Fam is doing well. My tech project, I'm not sure. The project I'm working with Bob on, that's going well. I'm working on that actively, actually. Oh, my shoulder's getting in your way. Sorry about that, y'all. And trying to develop additional business. So that's a focus for this coming year. But yeah, it's been a real great thing. And I'm doing a lot of volunteering locally. Actually, I'll be posting. I just went down to the Opera House locally here. Some of y'all have mentioned that I'm volunteering, and they're starting restoration of the historic building. And they put up or have put up all the scaffolding. So the whole place is full of scaffolding for the next 3 months to put in our fire suppression and security systems. So it's really exciting to see some momentum happening there. And I can't wait to post those pictures for our community. But yeah, life is good. I'm just mixing as we go, bringing this across the upper part of the, let me take this. Appreciate you keeping the snow up there and away from my southern sensibilities. Good job. Yeah, we are, actually, it was, I think, perhaps, it was above freezing today. So it was like, there was quite a bit of snow meltage, especially further down the mountain. And I'm trying to put this so you can kind of see where I'm going with this sky. I think this is what I want to do. Because notice how now this is very much the focus again. Now I just have to balance this all. So we want to bring the purple across further, and we want the yellows and oranges more succinct over here. So, and the reds. So we'll kind of merge that in. And We'll see. I don't know if we want some sky showing through over here. We'll have to see around these mountains. I don't know if that will distract. Again, you just kind of experiment and see what happens. We'll bring our sky down a little bit, but yeah, we haven't had too much snow. We might get a little more, but we had 5 feet, and so that, I mean, several weeks ago. So that has not, I mean, it doesn't impact us day to day. It's just on the, on melting slowly on the hills. So it's good because we need a lot of moisture so we don't have a bad fire season. But we need to do a call sometime. I would love to do that. Let's definitely do it. Thanks so much for popping in. That is very kind of you. I'm so grateful that you did stop by. That's what I love when people, one of my friends locally was apologizing because she doesn't get to come in or stay very long. I'm like, the whole point is just whenever you can, pop in. And I'm glad. It's very kind of you. I enjoy hanging with friends. Whoever gets here and can hang with us, that's part of the fun for me, is just each week a few different people show up. So just kind of changes week to week, and that's a lot of fun. So not sure how much of this sky I want to bring down or how far I want to bring it down into this area, but that gives us, we can kind of play with it a little bit, basically just washing out the clouds here. Then I just have to be careful because now that I've put this dark sky around here, this looks like there's a moonlight or something coming from this side. So I'll have to, that's what I was talking about, the value. That would be great, Abby. Thanks so much. I'd really appreciate it. The value balance, now this value is out of balance with this value. This is too dark for this is too light. So we just have to go and adjust that a little bit, which is making this basically more gray. It will still read as snow, incidentally, which is really strange. This is like a really gray brown color, but it reads as snow, and it actually reads as light snow because of what's next to it. So that's kind of that's the thing. So we'll have to put this snow up here, we'll have to put it in shadow, and then we'll have to put some of this then, the brightest spots. So again, we're adjusting from the reference photo, but you have to do this very kind of intelligently in the sense that you have to think through and problem solve, essentially. I mean, painting is really problem solving. It's figuring out, like, seeing that mistake and being like, oh, the sun isn't in the right place, or this isn't looking the right way. Okay, so let's take some kind of rust colors. Maybe we can mix some orange. take a little bit of that orange out. If we add just a little bit of blue, then it's not as crazy. And as we go this direction, so this needs to be more orange to red, and then, yeah, definitely. See what's happening now? We're starting to reshape. Wow, it's so crazy. Just little, but our eyes just know something's not right with that. I'll come back and fix this, like, shape wise, but our eyes are just like, it just isn't right. So yeah, we need more of the orange, and to lighten it, instead of adding white, I'm adding yellow and a little red and less of the blue. I'm taking the blue out. That way we can do more a lighter orange, but it blends better because fundamentally they're the same colors, right? So, but they're a little closer to the sun on this side, so we add more yellow. Notice what I'm doing on my palette. This is with the blue, this is a little less with the lighter, and this is more yellow, orange. And so we can begin to fix this, and still, again, we're keeping our values correct because this is closer to the sun over here. We want our brighter colors to happen closer to the sun, and then when we put in the yellow, we don't even have to go super light because there's just like we haven't gone crazy with our values. We're keeping them in check. So and what I'm doing intuitively, like kind of just consciously, I'm thinking of the bottom side of these clouds needs to be the lightest spots. So the shadows of the clouds are actually on the tops because obviously the sun is below the clouds. So we're going to have these dark areas there. Okay, I think that's good. I need to kind of, I am learning so much, y'all. Thanks for being along the journey. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so I want to, some of these, by doing this, we get that, oh, the sun's really shining through there. Whoops, sorry about that. If we do, then we take a little more red into here. We take it up a little bit. We can do the same in here. And it looks like it's breaking through the clouds a little bit. And that keeps us in the right, because the sun is shining from down below and it's just catching the shapes of these clouds higher up. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's what we want to do. See, you learn stuff sometimes just by messing up your way until you get it right. So if we take a little bit more, that's going to give us a much more vibrant that might not work. We'll see. Might be going a little crazy. But we shall see. We shall see. We solve one problem at a time. One problem at a time. Okay. I don't want to overpaint this side. This is going the right direction. So let's take some of this and start putting in some we just put a little bit of brown and blue in, and we can start putting some shape in here. Or maybe not. We'll see. I'm overpainting this, so I'm going to stop. That's really bad. There's a big hard line there. Okay, so, but we're going correct. So let's take, whoops. Take the yellow. Okay. And again, we want to do just the bottom kind of line of this where the sun catches the clouds. Give them some light and dark. We give them some three-dimensional shape when we do that, because now there's shadow. Which is how clouds, they're vapor, so they are billowing, and the light is reflecting off them in different ways. By putting a little yellow on, we are creating a more vibrant, like just on the edge, then we're really creating a more vibrant sunset. See how suddenly that so we can do the same thing. Again, we just have to make sure the light's coming from underneath. then and all these layers will be beneficial, I think. Okay. Yeah, and then we get the power of this. And it still stands out. But we do kind of that. Maybe not. I'll have to play with this a little bit. To see how it I'll eventually get it. I really just want the contrast between this peak and the background to pop out. So I really have to work with my values there to make it work. And every time I change this, it changes how this appears. So I'm trying to do this kind of like you're seeing in stages. But this is how the sausage is made, y'all. And I don't know why, but I just can't get enough of it. Like, no matter how many times I paint it over and over, I love doing this. Like, figuring this out, solving the problem, solving the riddle, so to speak, is like, I can't tell you how much fun it is to me, which is kind of silly, but it just is. Oh. Then we'll keep doing some yellow, direct yellow here along the base. Maybe that's what I need. We'll see. I'll know when it's perfect. Yeah, I like this, how it's starting to come together, because all of this is pointing again right there, which is what we want our eyes to catch. So that's the key. Yeah, that's basically what we were talking about, art appreciation. If you can figure out what is the artist making me look at, or why do I like where they're pointing my eye? And then if I can figure that out, how did they, or what techniques or what tools are they using? Is it texture? Is it vibrant colors? Is it contrast of colors? Is it perspective? Is it a combination probably of all these things? Then all of a sudden you start to see, wow, that's why that person is a master. I remember I was probably last summer maybe, or maybe it was this summer. Yeah, I think it was this summer. I went through Kansas City and I stopped at the Nelson Adkins Museum of Art in Kansas City, which is a brilliant collection. And I came around the corner and literally, I think it was David, a painting of Shepherd David, biblical Shepherd David, and it was a Caravaggio. And it literally, like, not literally, but it took my breath away. Like, I was just amazed, and I was like, what? I literally got up to the, I've said literally a lot. I went up to the painting to the point where the docents were like, step back from the painting, please. I was like, I just want to see the brushwork. Like, I just want to see, I want to get close enough to see what he did. And you could see the underdrawing and, oh my goodness. Anyway, but I would have never appreciated it. I had been in that museum. I had seen that painting before when I lived in Kansas City, but my ability to appreciate it had dramatically improved because of my ability. And with Caravaggio, it was specifically his ability to use contrast, color, value contrast, darks and lights. And if you Google Caravaggio, you'll see exactly what I mean. He just did it as good or better than almost anybody. So now look at this. So this is giving us now just a really bright, vibrant, whoa, feel. And all I've done is desaturated the yellow with a little bit of white. And by painting the bottoms of these clouds, you're getting that feel of three-dimensionality, I think is, or I don't know if that's a word, but like volume, basically. You're getting volume. And by controlling my values, i.e. the lights and the darks, it's allowing me to create the perception of, or the illusion of, volume in these clouds. And this feels so bright. Now I have to tone some of that out because it's getting too far away from the sun. And if you do too much away from the sun, then it takes away from what's happening here. So I have to just selectively, a few spots, one or two, as we go up. Now I have to take that and dilute a little orange. But what I should be able to do is take the orange when we get up way up here that might be, nope, because it's too much. Okay, so that hypothesis was wrong. So we'll do a different experiment. Y'all, I've been painting an hour and we have overpainted. Probably it feels like we've made it uglier than it was, but I'm learning so much. And when we now, as we get this, we're going to have another piece of the puzzle that is in place. Okay, there we go. Now we can take the orange and do the same thing up here, but with orange. And continue basically now I'm not diluting it with white this time. We are. See if I can turn this off if that helps. Yes, so you can see the orange a little better as we go away from the sky, or go away from the sun. Down here I used yellows. Now I'm using this light orange to give us the same feeling all the way up, but I'm mixing it a little bit with brown so it's not as aggressive, and we'll give these clouds just some puffiness. The key is, again, this is all a values play, and it's how do I do this so that it is a service of the art and where I want my eyes to go, and not a distraction too. Because when somebody looks at it, it should just make them feel a kind of way. Like it should just make them feel a certain way. Not be like, oh, whoa, that's really bright. Or they should just be like, that's a breathtaking. They should just say, oh, that's a breathtaking sunset. And the other hard balance I'm making, which I may have to tone back, because I don't want the sunset to take away from the focal point, which is this. And it's starting to. But my goal is that I can have both. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I want a vibrant, bright sunset in service of the rock. I want it to be so majestic that people look at this and think, oh my gosh, where is this landmark? Because these rocks, these mountains are so beautiful. And I want to figure out how to do that. So I'm trying to I will probably have to come back and do some layers because but yeah, that's what we're going for. The brightest spot over here is there. Now, we're getting there. This feels artificial to me up against this edge, though, because it's too blocky there. And then it's like tendrils, 4 tendrils in a row coming out. So I have to figure out how to make that more realistic. And it may just be putting the blue back in. I'm not sure. Or combining some of these so that so it's not just something like that, I think. Okay, what do you guys think of the shape of the clouds right now? Like the overall shape, I think it looks better than it did. At least that's, I'm going to step back for a little bit, kind of look. Yeah, I do like this. I do think I want to try something. I want to try bluing up some of this. Not sure if that will work. I don't know if that blue is too, it looks really bright under these lights, but I'll probably have to come back in the daytime and kind of mess with this a little bit. Because again, I don't want to distract from what's happening. I think I do like the blue out on this left-hand side, though. And the clouds then need to be purple. Hey, Amy Choi. So glad to see you. It's been a while. Happy New Year to you and the fam. Thank you for sending a holiday greeting. I loved seeing pictures of you all. Meant a lot. Yeah, if we can lighten up some of this, then our sky, our clouds over here need to be purple. But I think then we get, taking out this red I put in, because then this looks like clouds even though that was sky, but we can put in clouds. Again, every layer is going to give us texture, which is not a bad thing. I'm going to have to, yeah, there we go. I think that's good. Then we'll just see how that works. I got a little, I'll just take. Yeah, because I really like this, like I want that to really, again, stand out. Isn't it crazy how you change one little corner and all of a sudden this stands out a little more? Of course, this is standing out probably more than it should, but we start to get that. All right, I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I should be taking... I used to do time lapse of these painting sessions, and I should do it again because then you see like where I repaint and overpaint and paint again and all of that. It's yeah, it's really that's already starting to almost get dry, so I think I'm going to move my palette over, and if this painting turns out how it is in my head eventually, I really want this to be wall hangable. Like I want to be able to, I would love to matte and frame this one just because it has been probably one of the most time-consuming paintings I've done, and where I feel like as I am doing this, I'm like literally my ability is growing as I'm doing this. So I'm mixing kind of that dark purple. Wanna see, I have to kind of get purple and little yellow. Whoop. That takes it way down. It's just trying to so what I'm doing is trying to establish some, this is a very desaturated purple, meaning not desaturated, but dull purple. I put a lot of green in so that it would yeah, let's see how we can create some probably should have determined where we want this. Whoops, sorry, bumped y'all. See if this helps at all. Nope, because you're getting glare from both sides. So I wish I had like a translucent diffuser over on this side of my canvas, but I don't. Okay. We'll have to see. I am still learning how to do clouds and shadows on clouds and such. I just need to look at more clouds. Okay. This is definitely a area that will need some work. Don't know what I'm doing. Don't know exactly what I'm doing. But I do like the blue showing up over here. So I need to kind of make this work. Again, I'll just keep working on this. The exciting thing for me is this is one painting that will take me, 20, 30, 40 hours, whatever it's ending up. This is the third live stream. I thought we would get close to getting done. We're not really. But I'm solving some major challenges that I don't know that I've ever solved effectively. And so now I'm realizing, as I solve these, it may take me 20 hours this time, but the next time it'll take me 10 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. Not really. I'm taking some progress photos. That's why I turned off the light there. But yeah, that's the exciting part to me, is as I do this, I'm like, okay, it's taking longer than I would like, but once I get it, I got it. So and I feel like this is balanced with this so much better as far as the light coming from that side. Now we just have to correct this. Again, all of this is imagination, and a bunch of this is imagination because you know, obviously the reference photo is a bright blue sky, probably mid-afternoon with some cloud cover. So the sun is higher overhead, more coming in from this direction, from the up above in the reference photo, and it's coming down in kind of this, the way it's shining over here, and it's shining there. There's some clouds, obviously, that are blocking right here, and clouds across here. So now we're reimagining a lot of this, but I think it's going to make a much more interesting painting. So this obviously is out of balance. Let's go in and see if we can play around with this and see what we can do. So we'll do a gray color that is black and blue, or brown and blue basically. And we'll take a little tiny bit of white, bring it up, and a little more tiny bit of white. I don't know how, I don't want to go too light because then backing off is difficult. So let's do this. As long as we are lighter than the sky around us, we can do that. Tone down this snow a little bit. Let's see. Okay, now the snow's almost gone, right? So can we bring a little, maybe blue? I don't know what exactly works. Blue with white. Because we don't want actual white, obviously. Let's see, a little blue with white. Let's go, yeah, there maybe. I don't know if it's going to be too bright again. We'll kind of put some more snow here than is in the reference photo because we want to, I think, kind of highlight where the sun is catching this. Yeah, I don't know. Again, we're just experimenting to see what that's about the yeah. We're basically taking all of the light out of these areas where it's too bright. Keep it really gray, almost dark gray blue. now. So now all of this snow looks like it's in the shadows. But if we do a little bit of white, some of this gray, and maybe a little bit of blue, maybe we can do a couple, maybe just a little bit of red. Maybe we do just the edges of this snow. So it like as the sun comes over here, shines more on the ridges of the snow that's on the edge of the you just have to keep it very subtle. I don't know. Oh, that's a little light. Down here is more bright. But again, by keeping it desaturated, it really helps us to, and keeping it cool, like with the blue, it keeps us from bringing it too far forward. Again, up here, we're trying to we'll see. But that way this stays in shadow. And even though, and it reads, we have to figure out a way to read, so this is forward in front of this, but that's, you know, the brightest spot is taking us further into the painting. Because when somebody walks up to this, once someday it's done and framed and matted, I want them to feel like they could just walk right into this field and start walking that direction. And so this line that's laid down is like an S pointing there. The clouds all point there. The mountain range all points there. This mountain range points there. This line points there. It kind of scoops up. So the grade of the land, this rock points. So all of this compositionally is pointing all the right direction. That's why it works. And it's, in my opinion, starting to work even better than the reference photo. Although the reference photo is framed, and it's beautiful the way it has been cropped. So let's see. What do you all think? What do you think of the sky? I think we're getting there. Like, I think I need to let it sit a little bit. Like, I like what's happening here, and I like this, but I need to just, I think, sit with the painting and come back to it at the next sitting wonder if I turn my light off. Whoops. Oh. If I can get a better progress photo. But what is encouraging, one thing that is encouraging, is a couple of people who haven't seen me paint in some time have come on the, so Abby and Amy, I know you're probably already off the stream, but thank you for popping in, and have noticed dramatic or referenced dramatic improvement. So that's how I know, not necessarily that my skill is improving a little bit. Of course, everything I learn more is better than what I knew the day or week before. But the things that I'm choosing to focus on, value balance, composition, all these things that I've been preaching the last several weeks and months, is working to help me to produce better quality paintings. So that is exciting to me because I have a system. Like, I know how to, or at least a couple of ways to continue to push my skill forward. All right. That said, I think I am actually gonna wind down a little early tonight because as I look at this, I can see there are things that I need to address or improve, but I'm not sure exactly how to jump into them, and I don't want to jump into something major like this rock face without some thought and without kind of just letting this breathe a little bit, if that makes sense. So, but I actually like this more. I think all I need to do, I think I just need to bring this kind of grayish purple across here, because this purple is a little too intense, I think. A little too magenta. And I think if I bring this across and then like up just in this top area, and then I take a very diffused maroon, I can just do some subtle highlights here on the, to make the appearance of clouds, and then we kind of have the sky showing through. And because this is kind of a darker blue, it kind of feels like the night sky is creeping over this direction as the sun sets. So I think we solved a major issue with this painting, which was that this felt like the sun was setting back here. Remember when we started? And it was setting or rising over here. Clearly this feels like a sunset now. All of the contouring we did, choosing to stop there and really diffusing that color, I think is the right choice. So, all right, I'm going to quit rambling in your ear. Can you tell that I am a external processor? I'm thinking through all my things going on as I am doing this. So we will wrap up this wonderful time together with a quick goodbye. We'll end a few minutes early tonight, but we will, and let me take that off. Okay, we will end a few minutes early tonight, but I will be back with you for episode 92 next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I appreciate you staying with me this evening. Let me just hold this up here in the overhead light so you can kind of see where this painting is going. I am really pleased with where this is right now and where it's going. You can see kind of in a natural, not natural, but normal kind of overhead light. This is really, whoops, that's really going to pop. And if I get this side correct and solve these problems and then just really make sure that's good, then I think we're on a good track. So you can kind of see, whoops, there's where the painting is. Starting to look really cool. Which was one of the things I wanted to preserve from the reference photo down here, was kind of this misty distance look. And I'm not sure exactly how I created it. I think it's with the colors and desaturating the colors of the rock wall, but it's actually working and it's just really cool to me. Like, I really love this painting and can't wait until it's done, because I love it so much already. I don't want to settle for just doing it quickly, and I know that I can push it where it needs to be. So I'm just going to keep working on this, and I will definitely show you the finished product. But as always, you can follow me on Instagram at Stephen E. Rice if you'd like to see progress photos. And even when the photo or the painting is incomplete, I usually post that in my stories along the way, so you can kind of see what I'm painting in the studio, week to week, day to day. So that's the deal. All right, I want to say again, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. Until then, have a great week and a wonderful evening. Take care, everybody.